Hi, my name is Colby Sharp. I'm a fifth grade teacher from Michigan. Welcome to my channel where we try to help kids fall in love with reading. Today, I'm going to be sharing with you my annual classroom library tour. I am so excited to take you into the classroom library. We'll be looking at how things are organized, how the bins are labeled, how kids know where to put things back to where they go, and also the checkout system, which is a question that everybody has. If you have a question at any point during this video, leave it in the comments. I'll do my best to answer it, or maybe I'll make a video where I go into some depth about that question. I am the co-author of the Common Sense Guide to Your Classroom Library that I wrote with my dear friend, Donald Miller. Please consider picking up a copy if you're looking to learn more about creating amazing classroom libraries. So as you walk into the classroom, you start here. Library starts here, goes all the way around the front of the bookshelf, books here, into there. So now you have a basic general layout of what the classroom looks like. Now let's get into a little bit more detail. Here's that very first bookshelf that you see when you come into the classroom library. And we start with realistic fiction. Realistic fiction books by authors with last name that starts with A, and we work our way down until we get to the end of the alphabet. So after realistic fiction, we move into historical fiction, also organized by author last name. You can see the historical fiction section is a little bit smaller. Looks like we need a new label there. So instead of just historical fiction A, it's ABC. As these tubs get a little full, you can see here tub 15 is overflowing. So I either need to add a second tub 15, weed some of those books, or possibly maybe switch the lettering up a little bit. That's something we need to look at going forward. Then we have fantasy, author last name. You can see our read aloud right here. Currently reading Fish in a Tree. Our very first day read aloud is This Is a School. We come around over to here. Fantasy continues by author last name. Then we get over here into poetry. Now poetry used to just be a couple of tubs that were all poetry baskets. And then I noticed that a lot of fifth graders were really into novels in verse. So the books in the general poetry are a lot of times collections of poems. And then over here, you see novels in verse, which have become very popular in my classroom. And those are organized by author's last name. Then we get into maybe the kids' favorite section of the library, the graphic novels. And you can see that they are organized by author's last name, starting here, A, B, C. And you work your way around. You can see this section's kind of exploded, so we even had to go up top here with a whole bunch more graphic novels. When the tubs get full, like you see this one is overflowing. So I need to make the decision, do I add another basket 50 or do I need to weed some of those books out of the classroom library? So that's some decisions we need to make. Did quite a bit of weeding at the end of last year, but mostly in the realistic fiction and fantasy sections. It was hard to say goodbye to any graphic novels, especially with new kids coming in. So that'll be something we'll keep an eye on as the school year progresses. And over here in this back corner, it's kind of a continuation of the graphic novel section, but just some of their favorite series. So these graphic novels and illustrated novels are organized by authors and series. So you can see Dave Pilkey's series here. Lunch Lady. Raina Telgemeier's books are all in there. We're missing a label here on the amulet basket. So, oh, it's just backwards. So we'll get that fixed here after the video. And some more of their favorites. This Treehouse one, I could have made another basket, but I don't know, it looks kind of cool stacked like that. Did that with The Last Kids on Earth as well. So you can see these are all illustrated novels and graphic novels. And then heading over here, we start to get into some of the nonfiction portions of our library. Here's a bunch of biographies. Biographies used to just be all in like 3 biography baskets, but as I got more and more biographies, noticing it was tricky for kids to find what they were looking for. So now they're broken up into like sections. categories, topics, arts, flight, politics, history. We have social justice, sports, and some other areas, science. Get down here, we start to have animals. So we started with just all animals in like a general tub, and we've been able to kind of break it apart a little bit into more detail, right? Because the goal is always for kids to be able to find the books that they want as easy as possible. You can see some of those topics there, some of our social studies. One section that really needs to be organized is this history, these history tubs. I'd like to break it down more with like a time period or historical events. I actually sort of did that at the end of last year, coming into this year, but I just kind of ran out of time. So I just put them back in their original baskets. So that's definitely something that I want to get to be more specific, so it's easier for kids who are maybe really interested in World War II, really interested in the Revolutionary War, which we study in 5th grade, that those books are easier for them to find. We get into some science topics. And then the final section of the library is authors and series. So these are authors and series that are not graphic novels. So you see we have Gordon Corman, Jason Reynolds, Jason Chin, probably some of the favorites that your readers have. I recently added these two here. These are two baskets that we didn't have last year. We didn't have a Sharon Draper and we didn't have a Dusty Bowling, but those were very popular authors last year and in the past. So we had to add those baskets, and a couple authors that maybe weren't as popular the last few years. We got rid of those author baskets and moved some of the books from those authors back to the realistic fiction and fantasy, just in case kids are still looking for those creators. And that's the quick tour. So now we can get into a little bit more details about the level, not the leveling, we don't level our library, the labeling, that's the L word we're looking for. All right, let's look at, I think I have 4 baskets up here. We'll take you through them and help you kind of get an understanding of how things are labeled. The key with the labeling system, not the leveling system, but the labeling system is to make it as easy as possible for kids to find the books that they're reading. So this is the second bin in the room, realistic fiction, authors with the last name of B, they all have number 2. The reason that there is a number at all is because it's super easy for a kid who just finished Thirst to see the 2 and go and put it back in the 2 basket. They're not thinking, well, this is realistic fiction. The author's last name starts with the B. No, just 2, boom, it's taken care of. Also, the blue duct tape means fiction. All of the baskets that have blue duct tape are fiction. So this is actually saying a lot of things. It's saying fiction, it's saying realistic fiction, it's telling you where to put it in the author's last name. Let's just say maybe you loved Almost Home, Joan's book. Then you're like, man, that was a really good book. I wonder if there's any other realistic fiction books by Bauer. Boom! That's the same book. But if we had other books by Joan, maybe you say, oh, we don't have other books by Joan. Does that make sense? All right, next up is, what are we looking at here? Okay, we will go with a fiction, a nonfiction basket. So these are all books about like plants, right? We got some plants in here, all kinds of plants book. So if you're into plants, you're saying yellow. Yellow means nonfiction. Science plants in Tub 97 so that they can easily put it in. Isn't that so easy? So easy. Yellow, nonfiction. Blue, fiction. Okay. And then all of the graphic novel series and author tubs are 58. So when they do go to 58, they knew that that means graphic novel series or graphic novel by author. So there's a little bit more thinking there. They don't just put it in any random 58. That takes a little bit of time for them to figure out. Make sense? This one could actually be, probably should switch this one because these are not all fiction because these are more memoir-y. So technically this probably shouldn't be blue. So Whoops, kind of embarrassing in this video, but in all honesty, you know, we make lots of, it's always changing. The library's always changing. What I mean why it shouldn't be blue is it should be green, because blue and yellow make green. So baskets that are a mixture of fiction and nonfiction are green. So Gary Paulson Hatchet is fiction. Gary Paulson Woodsong is nonfiction. All of the author and series baskets that are not graphic novels are Tub 21. So they can easily put those back. Okay, now let's talk about the checkout system. The checkout system is, I want you to take books home and read them if you're in this class. So you are encouraged to take the books home and read them and bring them back. I really work hard to make sure that to encourage my kids to read the same book at home in school, because it makes them so much more effective. So much more effective. So that's something that we are always working on. At the beginning of the year, they kind of are anxious about taking books home, some of them. They're worried they're going to lose them or get fines and things like that. So they don't actually have to write it down. I kind of always know what books they're reading. So if we're missing a book, we can usually figure out where it's at. Spend a lot of time early in the year doing a status of the class. So we just walk around and write down the book and page that everyone's reading. So if we're missing Smile, I can say, well, who's, you know, Joe, you were reading Smile. Do you still have it? Like, no, I gave it to Alexandra. And Alexandra, well, you know, maybe she has it. So that's how we do. We don't really have a checkout system. Do we lose a few books? Yeah, we lose a few books here and there, but we don't lose readers because of getting stressed about losing books. So that's the checkout system. It doesn't work for everyone. It works for me. I'm just all about kids reading as much as possible and like having as little friction as possible that gets in the way of the kids actually reading. So that's the checkout system. If you have any other questions about classroom libraries, please let me know. I would love to answer those. Thank you for supporting kids. Thank you for supporting readers. Thank you so much for watching my video. I hope you have an awesome, fantastic day.